If you've ever been curious how much other Australians have in their super and how you might compare, then this is the video for you. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the most recent official ABS data to discuss median superannuation balance by age, how you can increase your balance, and other helpful tips. So let's dive in. So superannuation was only made compulsory in 1992, but it's already amassed $4 trillion of assets, which is huge. It's one of the biggest and fastest growing retirement savings systems in the world. And if you're an Australian wage earner, then your employer currently contributes 11.5% of your salary into your superannuation balance, and that's going up to 12% in July of this year, 2025. And then your superannuation fund will use your money to invest in Australian and international shares, property like the Westfield shopping centres, infrastructure like toll roads and Sydney Airport, bonds, term deposits, and a range of different asset classes. And your super fund will generally package these different assets up into various different types of investment options. So these different investment options have different risk reward profiles. So for example, you'll have high growth, balanced, conservative, and so on. And usually you'll be put into a default investment option, like for example, balanced. So if you're not sure, just log into your superannuation and click on the tab that says something like investment options and just see what it is you're invested in. And here you can usually see the historical performance and the projections of those different investment options. So typically high growth has higher predicted performance, but with that comes more volatility. So just be aware of that. So with that context, let's now compare median superannuation balances by age and gender, because there is a gender gap, unfortunately. The most recent data here is ABS data from 2022. So it's a tiny bit dated, but it's still useful for comparison purposes, and it probably hasn't changed all that much. So let's start with the under 18-year-olds, and I'll round all these numbers because it's easier than saying the exact dollar figure. So for the under 18s, males have about 300 and females have about 200. For 18 to 24-year-olds, males have about 4,600 and females have about 4,300. For 25 to 29-year-olds, males have 17,500 and females have 17,800. For 30 to 34, males have about 39,800 and females have about 34,300. So at 35 to 39, this is when you really start seeing the gap. So males have 70,200 and females have about 54,400. For 40 to 44, males have 101,200 and females have 74,100. For 45 to 49, males have 133,600 and females have 93,500. For 50 to 55, males have 162,100 and females have 111,100. For 55 to 59, males have 186,300 and females have 128,700. For 60 to 64-year-olds, males have 205,400 and females have 153,700. For 65 to 69-year-olds, males have 206,100 and females have 191,500. So for 70 to 74-year-olds, both males and females have about the same, which is around $200,000. So it took those 40 years from 30 to 70 to finally catch up. So as you can see from this graph, the balances really start to diverge at around age 30, and that's probably because women are working a bit less and taking time off so they can focus on motherhood. But then women rapidly catch up in their 60s, and I'm not really sure why this is. So if you have any ideas or you've experienced this, then please let me know in the comments below. It could be because they're making additional concessional contributions to super, and there's three main ways that this can be done. The first is with the employer contributions that are mandatory. That's what I discussed earlier. That's currently 11.5% and going up to 12% in July of this year. It could be because they're salary sacrificing, which is another method for concessional contributions. That just involves going to your employer and asking to boost the amount that you're putting into super. So instead of 11.5, you could be putting in 15% or 20% of your salary. Or the third way to make concessional contributions to super is with what's called a personal deductible contribution. So this is when you take money from your bank account and put it into your super and then claim a tax deduction on that. If you're interested in the effect that additional contributions could have on your superannuation balance when you retire, or you're just interested in seeing what your current balance is going to projected to be when you retire, then the government has a handy website called the Money Smart Calculator, and let's go check it out now. So if you just Google Superannuation Calculator, it should be the first result. It's moneysmart.gov.au. So let's check it out. So let's say you're 30 and you earn $100,000 a year. Leave that at 67. Let's say your average superannuation balance is around $50,000. Just leave that as it is. Leave that as it is. All these are kind of based on averages, so you can all leave them. This shows how your balance will grow. So as you can see, when you retire at 67, it's predicted to have 714 grand. And if you want to see the effect that additional contributions would make, just scroll up to where it says, do you want to make additional contributions? Tick yes. So let's say you wanted to do an extra $100 a week. So that gets you to almost $1 million at retirement, 978 grand. So that's 250 grand from just putting in an extra $100 a week. An important thing to note about this calculator is that it already adjusts for inflation. So if you just scroll down to the assumptions here, results are in today's dollars. So most of the compound interest calculators that you see online don't do that. So the number would be much bigger if it didn't account for that, but it does that for you. So yeah, not bad at all for an extra $100 a week. And the thing with super is that the government's trying to incentivize you to do it. So it's very tax effective. So let's say you wanted to invest in Australian shares, which you can do inside or outside of super. Your ending balance would be much more inside of super because it's just taxed at a much lower rate. But nothing's perfect, and there's obviously downsides as well. The biggest and most obvious is that you typically can't touch your super until you're age 60, so it's locked away until then. And another one is that there's certain contribution caps and balance caps and other rules that you need to be aware of. And third is that superannuation invests in stocks and properties and other risky assets, so you can lose money, just like if you were to invest outside of super. So just be aware of the pros and cons and speak to a financial advisor before making any decisions. This video is definitely not financial advice, it's just for educational purposes. But if you're interested in more general kind of finance educational content, then please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.